You are listening to AM 1710 Q4 Radio in Chicago.
You can say cracker, but not cracker. He was like, it's okay, I got white friends and they're cool with it, so I cooled down. I just like doing that voice, like, me and my cracker friends. That's like my white guy doing a black guy doing a white guy voice. Because a lot of black comics have the one white guy voice, like, this is ridiculous. Like, we all talk like British detectives, and I don't know anyone who talks like that. I feel bad for the one guy on Earth who does talk like that, and he's watching those comics on TV, and he's like, this is preposterous. That doesn't sound like me at all. Wait till I get my hands on that black fellow, but first I'm gonna dance.
Although I like...
This week from Metropolitan Brewing up on the north side of Chicago here. Great local brewery just come out with their Magnum Sparks Lager, Black Lager. They always do four or five different kinds of or different offerings of beer. Mostly on the lager side, so there's from these guys they tend to go more towards the malty side, which gives it a little bit of sweetness and more full body, which is perfect this time of year. And nice dark black lager, really great finish. So I'm really looking forward. When I saw that today, had a couple other choices. I wanted to pick this one up, so I'm excited about this one. I'll tell you all about it. And then so we got some other surprises coming up. We've got some guests coming in. We may be having last night on the Friday edition of Winter Lake's Pentacle Hours, heard only here on AM 1710 Q4 Radio. But as we're starting to find out, is already being pirated. So we've already got a hit show going on here at AM 1710. We have not turned on the transmitter yet. And Celia Forrest popping back in the studio. Hey, kiddo.
Hey there, Bill. I'm going to steal and use this computer for a second, but if you want to make me multitask, how are things going with the whole Revolution in Beer crew right now?
Everything is going great for the Revolution in Beer. What were you looking for specifically? I can get you there.
I'm stealing around, playing in the innards of the computer like the crazy, wild woman that I am.
No worries.
Crazy, wild. All right, so
and
what...
Go ahead, honey.
I was just going to ask you what you're going to rant about today.
Oh, God, I'm ranting about all kinds of things. I might go on the Obamacare rant. There's some things there that no one else is saying in the media that they need to know about Obamacare, how we've all been kind of scammed on this one, and nobody's saying it. I will be the one that has the guts to say it. I just hope that I don't break the microphone when
As
I
you
shout
go.
into this. The wife and I were talking about this a while ago, and it's become more and more apparent.
Well, I was going to say, on the Celia and Eric show, we have a section that we call the Friday Night News Dump.
Yes.
Because people dump stories they don't want other people to hear then. And one of the things that they did is Obama has used over the holiday weekend, the Obama administration has used twice now that as a way to put in dumps about changes to the health care law.
Yeah.
And so that's something that we discuss a little bit and make weird noises about.
Beautiful. Then I'll have a perfect segue for you. It's our contention that this is nothing about. This is actually a benefit for big business and big pharma.
Well,
and
it was the Republican plan.
Well, it's also a cash cow for corporations.
Oh well, 100%, yes, especially because they get another year now where they don't have to. I mean, before the July 4th weekend, they get another year before they have to get their stuff up to snuff. And then, interestingly enough, one of the few programs that Republicans were actually in favor of was the small business marketplace, which allows small business members, although it's funny because what it really does is it sort of allows small businesses to unionize like people. It's like you can band together and then be able to negotiate with insurance companies. And I was like, oh gosh, look at that. Don't say the word union, everyone. Talk about free market more. Call it a free marketplace. That'll make the Republicans happy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the other more insidious thing, and I'm giving it away here, but this will just help me just get anger for later.
He's getting ready.
I'm getting ready. Is that, for years, for decades, when I was out looking for a job, one of the things that I looked for was the benefits package.
Right.
And I always paid a percentage of my medical insurance, but the company paid a big chunk of that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That was sort of the standard in the market. Now Obama, in one fell swoop, has removed that standard, so that's no longer a reality in the marketplace anymore. Now they've thrown it on you.
Right.
And if you fail anywhere along the line, you get penalized.
You do get penalized. I mean, mind you, the penalty is less than it would cost if you were to break your leg and then have to have taxpayers pay for your thing in a hospital. But again, that's turning people into dollars and cents. I mean, the only thing this
is true, but this also does not alleviate you of having to pay medical bills.
Well,
so the fine is on top of.
Well,
yeah.
Well,
but, I mean, part of the selling point.
I can neither confirm nor deny that my anarchist friends have told me exactly what to do to go into a hospital and not have to pay my bills when I get out.
Well, we're going to talk then.
No, I don't know if that's a good thing to put on the air.
No. We'll talk off the air. And if you'd like further details on that, you can call Celia at home.
Nope.
Oh, I'm kidding.
Nope.
But Now, one of the selling points of all this was that the major or the leading cause of bankruptcies for most working class Americans has been catastrophic health issues.
Oh yeah, my stepmom right now is battling lung cancer, and she's been at it for about 20 months now, so a little less than 2 years, and her bills are up to about $4.4 million.
Okay.
And but she's on Medi-Cal. So ironically enough, even though she was a lifetime smoker, her lung cancer is the kind that comes from secondhand smoke. So apparently she's inured to her own cigarette smoke.
I was listening to Rush Limbaugh the other day, and his recommendation was, if you go and you need something done at the hospital, just pay for it right then and there.
Oh,
so
that's
why,
adorable!
Why
Rush. Most of us just couldn't. Most of us can't afford a hydrocodone habit the way you can. So he's been living in a different world, even when he wasn't high in the past few years.
Yeah. But I'm sure his $46 million has nothing to do with any of that.
Oh, but isn't he just a regular guy, just like you and me? I mean, I saw Sarah Palin on Fox News the other day talking about how she's just a regular American, and isn't it sad when regular Americans like her can't trust the government?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is why she wants to be in it so badly.
Don't you even get me started on that woman. I will rant. Which reminds me, one last plug for the Celia and Eric show.
Fellow Alaskans.
We have something. Don't you start with me on that woman. We have something on the Eric and Celia show called the Wheel of Rant.
Nice.
And Eric's wife Kathy is an amazing carpenter, and she built us this fabulous wheel. And we have topics on which we can rant. We spin the Wheel of Rant, and we have a rant every week.
Beautiful.
And yeah, we discussed Sarah Palin. That might come up. That might come up in an unauthorized rant.
It might. Just might.
Just might. It just might, because ooh. I'm just going to... Okay, so before I leave, I'm just going to take a moment and say on behalf of all Alaskans who are not Republican or a member of Alaska's second largest party, the other right-wing party that's further to the right than Republicans, the Alaska Independent Party, or APES, as I like to call them. If you're not an ape or an elephant, on behalf of those few Alaskans that are left, that 33%...
I don't know why you were looking at me when you said that.
I'd like to say I, too, long for the days where when you'd say you're from Alaska, people would ask you if you knew Jewel and not Sarah Palin. Peace.
Wow.
I'm going to drop the microphone and walk out the room. Have a great show, Mr. Turk.
Peace out.
Peace
Thank
out.
you, sweetheart. Look forward to the show. The Eric and Celia show coming up here in just a little while. And on that note, we're going to take a break and play just a little bit of their great promo here. This is AM 1710 Q4 Radio, waiting for Mr. Murray to step into the studio here. We're going to have beer. We're going to have some fun. We're going to have some great little obnoxious
Don't
things.
make a difference to...
And here we go. See you guys in a minute.
Tune in to Q4 Radio AM 1710 for the Celia and Eric Show.
The Celia and Eric Show is a work of commentary, comedy, and satire.
Before listening, talk to your doctor to see if satire is right for you.
Oh, we hope it is.
Apply the Celia and Eric Show liberally to problem areas.
The Celia and Eric Show is recommended for expectant mothers.
And fathers.
Because we believe that children are the future.
Aww.
The Celia and Eric Show, 5 to 7 p.m. Saturday nights here on Q4 Radio AM 1710.
Tune in to AM 1710 for the Celia and Eric Show.
The Celia and Eric Show is a work of commentary, comedy, and satire.
Before listening, talk to your doctor to see if satire is right for you.
The Celia and Eric Show, 5 to 7 p.m. Saturday nights here on Q4 Radio.
All right, guys, this is the Revolution and Beer Show weekend. I'm WC Turk, AM 1710 Q4 Radio. Give us a call if you dare, if you like, here at the station at 773-217-8344. Coming up throughout the day, a great lineup here. Right after this show, we're going to have a rebroadcast of a great show that Dr. Laura Chamberlain did on Tuesday, All In for Mother Earth. She talked to Dr. Bill Rao. They had a brilliant guy. They had a great discussion, a really broad-ranging and detailed discussion about fracking for that show. So if you want to be able to impress your friends and know what's going on with regards to fracking, the unvarnished truth about fracking, check out that show from 3 to 5 after this very program. Then after that, the debut, the very first Eric and Celia show, comedy, commentary, fun, tomfoolery. You do not want to miss this show. A great show that we won't be replaying. I'm sure they're going to get it up online, but you want to hear it here first. Set your tape recorders and make sure that all of your cassettes are working nicely, spooled up. Get the pencil in there and make sure you tighten those spools. Boy, I'm giving away my age here a little bit, aren't I? But definitely check out the Eric and Celia show, 5 to 7 this very evening, only on AM 710 Q4 Radio, where we are putting together the very best lineup anywhere for local music, activism, arts, comedy, the occult with our buddy Winter Lake for the Pentacle Hours. The very best lineup coming to you in Chicago and for Chicago Radio. Waiting for my sidekick here, Brian Murray, to show up, and I'm also I'm looking at one of these beers, these Magnetron beers. I think I might jump in. Not only that, but we made an ungodly amount of food. We served about a dozen people with the help of some very good friends. Julia Sullivan, my good friend Sumera Faraz. Brian helped deliver it. We delivered a full turkey dinner, all the fixings, everything, including dessert, down to help house Chicago homeless people down in the 6700 block of Champlain, down in Inglewood, that tough and struggling neighborhood or part of the city, and folks had to push themselves away from the table. So, but aside from that, we made a great deal of food, and I am determined in the next several days not to let any of it go to waste. Especially having been with those good folks in the South Side and knowing how tough things are for them. So I'm working through the sweet potato pie and the stuffing and the mashed potatoes and a little bit of everything, just as best as I can, and having some of it right now. Yum. That's why I picked out this beer. This seemed like the right beer to go with leftovers. So we're going to find out if that's true. Matter of fact, you know what? While I'm waiting for everybody, I'm going for a beer. There it is. This isn't radio stagecraft. We actually do it here. Hear that, folks? That's beer and glass. That's the opener on my head. Oh yeah. So, if you were listening to Celia's show, Celia and Raul's show, SideQuest Radio, before, they were describing the giant goblet glasses. I collect these old. They're antiques now. Actually, they don't make these anymore, and you can only find these in resale stores or antique stores. These great big old goblets that used to be pretty ubiquitous in working class bars. Oh, listen to that. And again, I love Metropolitan Brewing up in Ravenswood, up on the north side, far north side. I've never had a bad beer from them. I love their alt beer. It's nice. It's so nice and smooth and balanced. This one, again, we say it all the time. You want to use all of your senses for beer. And this one is no different. Breathe that in. You got just a little smoky essence to it, but not too much. We were talking yesterday. We had the Buffalo Sweat from the brewery out in, I think it was Colorado, and that had these really rich cooked hops or burnt hops. So you get that sort of like a coffee flavor or a licorice coffee flavor, and that had a little fruitiness to it, but not too much. It was a nice simple beer, not as smoky as say a Rauch beer, where they actually drop the malts and the hops over a fire in a kiln and let the smoke kind of imbue. And it almost tastes like you're drinking liquid steak, but this is far different. Get a little bit of that smokiness and sweetness, a little bit of blueberry and plum. Oh, that's really terrific. This is a perfect beer. A little bit of This is as black as night. This beer, it's a beautiful ebony color. It's got a nice little coffee colored head to it, and a nice lacing, a nice full lacing. So this one is really done nicely. A little bit of sweetness on the back end. I'm not really getting, if you're looking for a heavy hop, I'm not getting it here. I'm getting a little bit, but I'm getting that nice rounded flavor with those dark fruit notes, blackberry and what have you, and a little bit of that smokiness of the roasted hops. So well done, Metropolitan Brewing, on another really terrific beer. And they're not paying us. We just like good beer and feel the need to tell you guys about it. So a ton of things going on today that we're going to cover. Waiting for Brian to get in here. I probably going to cover. You know what I really wanted to do? I wanted to catch up on first of all on the carnage that happened around the country at the shopping malls. And there goes Ma. Nice shot. On the carnage that happened around the country, there were a couple things that happened overnight. It just got sillier and stupider. If this kind of violence had happened around the Occupy movement, there would have been a federal order to shut it down across the country. But here, because of some perverse theism or religiosity built around capitalism now in this country, we seem to tolerate and even celebrate the violence. So there was, really liking this beer, and it's light enough. It's not too heavy that if you're having it with some rich flavors, like I've got, I made a nice turkey gravy the other day from the drippings, with just a little bit of sweetness and acid to it. To kind of bring out some bolder flavors, but I've got sweet potatoes here that we made with maple syrup and mint. We've got I made my stuffing with walnut and onion and celery and all kinds of a nice rich spice mix. And then our garlic and ranch dressing mashed potatoes. So there's a lot of really rich flavors, not to mention just kind of a heavy sort of food fare. And this beer really works terrifically with it. So really enjoying that. I'm pulling up a couple of these stories here today for you while I'm waiting for Brian to get in. I will dock his pay. The moment I have some money to pay him, that is. In the meantime, we're just waiting for him to get in and join us in the show here today. And I did want to take a moment to say a couple of things about the show we did last night on the Pentacle Hours with Winter Lake. And if it feels like I'm just kind of feeling for time, yeah. We had a great discussion. It was an exclusive discussion that I have and had some inside information about a UFO incident. Now, I need to balance it out a little bit to say that I am no believer in UFOs, or at least not that they're little green men or what have you. I'm an incredibly skeptical person. That comes with another giant caveat. I would never consider myself an atheist, just as I would never be a fanatical religious person in any sense, because you just don't know what you don't know, and you have to admit that at some point. So rather than be a hypocrite, I remain an agnostic. I'm the same way about UFOs. I would never 100% discount, but up to now, most of my experiences in the world particularly being in the airlines for the better part of 15 years, being an astronomy major my first year of college, being in the Civil Air Patrol when I was in high school, and just kind of generally being around military things for a lot of years. Have really and researching UFOs with as much of an open mind as I could. That I really tend not to believe in these things. However, back in about I think it was 2008, I was finishing up my career with United and moving over to Lufthansa as a logistics person, handling the Pacific market for United, about a $500 million market. And there was a widely reported UFO event over the United terminal at O'Hare, and I knew several of the people who were involved in witnessing that. There was a mechanic. I think there might have been a couple of mechanics. There were a couple of the flight crew, a number of ground workers or ramp workers, as they're called, and a supervisor. Work groups that out there in the field don't necessarily get along with each other, and really, if they have the opportunity to throw a shot at each other, they will. So for them to get together, which they really never do, but for them to get together and conspire to create something like this is well beyond the realm of plausibility and possibility. So that was one of the things that we covered. The other thing that concerned me most was that people, and I knew a number of FBI agents that worked out at the field. You get to know everybody, especially I'm not a smoker, but I hung around with smokers and learned very quickly that if you want to know what's going on anywhere, hang around with smokers, because they're usually all huddled together in this very socialist sort of cabal in stairwells or under heating lamps or in doorways. And crevices, basically, sharing his cigarette, and it becomes this communal sort of communication thing. So for those of you out there just getting into the job market, even if you don't smoke, go hang around with smokers because they talk, and everybody will, you're going to get the best gossip and the best information and stay one step ahead of everything. So. We were talking about this yesterday on the Pentacle Hours, and somebody from the government got to all of these people. Now, some of these people were people that I had worked with for the better part of 10 years in really difficult, often very dangerous situations where you don't pull punches and you're honest with people. But these are also people that are not easily intimidated by anybody. It's a tough, physical, hard, dangerous job out there in the field. But somebody got to these people and put the fear of God, for lack of a better word or better term, into them to such an extent that they would not even talk to anyone else, even friends and family. They were told that if they spoke about this incident anymore, that their jobs would be over, and that there could be even repercussions against their families. So, and whoever had done this had done it to a degree that terrified these men. So that's what Winter and I were talking about yesterday. Was sort of getting the record straight. Later on, there were leaks or assumptions and stories that, and I would love to know where they'd come from. I can guarantee you they didn't come from United. I can guarantee you that they didn't come from any of the unions or the work groups. Somebody on the outside must have leaked that information or put that information out there to discredit these people that they had been drinking out in the field, which I can tell you does not happen. So So we wanted to clear the air on that, and subsequently, I'm finding out that Winter is really into breaking this story. 5 years more than 5 years in the making now, in order to help get the truth out there. So you definitely want to be sticking around weekdays 5 to 7 for the Pentacle Hours, because there's always really interesting things going on, talking about the occult and mysteries and UFO and conspiracies and all of that. So check that out, 5 to 7. I am going to take another break here. We are already burning through the show pretty quickly. When I come back, I'm going to touch briefly on the Endangered Species Act. It turns 40 years old, and it's already struggling. You know, people are trying to chip away from it. Hugh Hewitt, who works on another station, a right-wing guy out of L.A., and a lawyer, often litigates against nature. Let's put it that way. He litigates against nature. People trying to protect endangered species or endangered plants, or habitats. So we'll definitely talk about that when we come back. In the meantime, this is the Revolution and Beer Show. I am W.C. Turk. This is the Revolution and Beer Show Weekend Edition.
As my bishop would say, I'm living because of my giving. If you want love, you're going to have to love somebody. If you want respect, you're going to have to respect somebody. And if you want recognition, you're going to have to recognize. It was December 24th on Hollis Ave at the dark. My man Santa seen the Reverend gave the strangers remark. He said that giving was his living and I had to take part. So I grabbed a bag of goodies and hopped up on his car. The pockets of the poor and gave the hoodie a play. Dropped some dollars up on Hollis and I went on my way. I hear you jingle, Mr. Kringle, peep the single, my man. So Santa hit a brother off and come as quick as you can.
Santa baby, just slip a bento under the tree for me. A 98 convertible, light blue. I'm looking for a fly guy like you. So hurry down the chimney tonight.
When it's 8:24, he be looking at the dough for the ho ho ho. Cause I know when there's a Christmas uptown, ain't no chimney for Santa to come down.
Now to me, PD, I had a lot. Appreciated everything that I got. Though I used to take my pops when caught shaking the box. Cause I knew I couldn't wait till it turned 12 o'clock.
Cookies and milk, satin or silk. I'm chilling in the living room, wrapped in a quilt. I'm waiting on this fat red suit wearing, comparing my gifts to my homeboy next door to me. A gift here, none there, but who cares? My little sister needs a comb just to braid her nappy hair. But here we go again, waiting on the enemy to slide down the chimney. Look here, that ain't reality.
Santa baby, just slip a bento under the tree for me. A 98 convertible, light blue. I'm looking for a fly guy like you. So hurry down the chimney tonight.
Santa baby, are you really real, Chris Kringle? Let me see you make my pockets jingle.
Ching, ching.
We need some jobs in the ghetto, too much gang banging. With kids are playing, I hear the church bells ringing. On Christmas Eve, I believe Jesus is calling me. Get the gifts and the shopping list and the new kicks. You just falling for tricks. Santa praise
Santa baby, just slip a bento under the tree for me. A 98 convertible, light blue. I'm looking for a fly guy like you.
Yeah.
So hurry down the chimney tonight.
The gritty, the low down, the shifty, yo, sticky, yo. Christmas time in the city. Late night, stars so bright, we getting right. With the 50 back, I say, Nicholas, start singing. Yes, the Grinch is so Christmas. Climbing at your chimney. Kids open their gifts, they all gonna be empty. Just like mine was. I hate to say it, but if I wasn't a boy, I wouldn't have had nothing to play with.
On December 25th, I knew I wasn't getting jacked. When I saw Santa Claus on the corner buying crack, I ran up on him with the gavel, asked him, yo, what's up with that? He said, the Grinch has stole Christmas, and I can't get it back. Back in the days, Christmas was deep. My mom put presents under the tree while I played sleep. And peep, how Santa Claus never gave me nothing. Seen him at Macy's, lying in front, so do some good to the ghetto. Mr. Chris Kringle, come and stand while, kick it with God's angel. They can ignite
acknowledge my wisdom and understand that Santa Claus is a black man. Word up!
Santa baby, just slip a pencil under the tree for me. A 98 convertible, light blue. I'm looking for a fly guy like you. So hurry down the chimney tonight. Santa baby, just slip a pencil under the tree for me.
All right, this is AM 1710 Q4 Radio, the Revolution in Beer Show, now with a full house of people. Brian, welcome. I'm docking your pay, by the way, buddy.
That's okay. I should have taken a sick day, but I'm too committed. I just have to.
And we got a couple of guests in the studio.
Yeah. We're sitting here with my buddy Keyann Coco May.
I guess rather than have to wait for us, huh?
Which
to get
is
around
yeah. So I've known Keyann for a while, and actually we've been hanging out for a few years, talking various issues, and I think growing a lot politically, individually too, as we've kind of been bashing different ideas together, sometimes more loudly than others, and it's been pretty fun. And we're also here with his cousin Sangit from Dallas, right? Okay, so
Dallas. My condolences. I got family in Dallas.
he's keeping an eye on us here to make sure that we don't get too out of hand. He's the responsible party in the room because we just decided Keyann will not be. So
we're gonna come back. We're gonna come to that in a second. There was a story that caught my interest. It's kind of making the rounds on Facebook here a little bit. I thought it was very entertaining. We posted it on our Revolution and Beer Facebook page, but we're just going to encapsulate it a little bit here, and I just kind of wanted to know what Brian thought about it. Annoying airline passenger thinks she's the only one who celebrates Christmas. There was a little tweet.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Christmas?
a little Twitter diary going on here for Thanksgiving with this. It took place on Thanksgiving Day between a middle-aged woman known as Diane and a righteously indignant TV producer, Elon Gale, whose side of the story we have in this one, who live tweeted the entire hilarious, maddening encounter as it happened. And this one actually is from my wife, who is in retail and has had to deal with these people.
So this is serious.
On the ground, not in the air. But the saga began when the U.S. Airways flight to Phoenix was delayed at takeoff. Our flight is delayed. A woman on here is very upset, and this is the tweet from Elon. A woman on here is very upset because she has Thanksgiving plans. She is the only one, obviously, praying for her. Then he ends it there. She's telling the flight attendants that it's Thanksgiving. She wants them to know that she wants to have dinner with her family. The male flight attendant says, "I understand, ma'am. I'm looking forward to seeing my family, too." And she responds, "This isn't about you."
Talk about entitlement.
She has a connecting flight. Why doesn't anyone understand that she has a connecting flight? Why do people not understand her needs? Today is Thanksgiving, she said. I'm supposed to be with my family, not with you people I barely know. I sent the lady a glass of wine and a note, and this is what Elon wrote on the note. "Dear lady in 7A, it has come to my attention that today is your Thanksgiving. It must be hard not to be with your family. Please accept this glass of wine. It is a gift from me to you. Hopefully, if you drink it, you will not be able to use your mouth."
Oh, but that's not the way it works.
So Elon says she began pushing the call button a lot. The male flight attendant was giving him the "let's pretend this just never happened" face, shaking his head a lot. He gave 2 little bottles of vodka to Elon, but wouldn't hand them to the lady. He says that Elon would have to do it by himself. Elon tweeted, "Oh God, I did it. I walked as if I was going to the bathroom and leaned over and put them on her tray table and walked away. Oh my God, I'm going to lie. I'm shaking. I'm not going to lie. I'm shaking. This is so terrifying. She is so angry. It's kind of incredible." The male flight attendant just handed me a note from 7A. "Dear Elon," the lady writes, "the wine wasn't funny. The vodka wasn't funny. You're an awful person with no compassion.
I think it's funny.
I am sorry for your family that they should have to deal with you. Diane." So Elon tweeted again, "This means war. I cannot believe there are Diane apologists in the world." And if you read the full string, people start firing back at him that, oh, maybe blah, blah, blah. They start making excuses for it.
mental illness perhaps involved.
And Elon tweets back, "You're either with me or you're against me." Dear Diane, he writes again, "Thank you for your lovely note. The person who lacks compassion is you. We all want to get home, particularly the nice men and women who fly your lazy ass around. Next time you're in a bad mood, stay home. I hate you very much. Eat my," and then he uses a word we can't say on the radio. To which she responds, and now it's getting interesting, "Elon, this is inappropriate beyond belief. I will speak with the authorities when we land."
She won't have time, though. She has to, catch the limo.
So, does Elon leave it there? No, he does not. Dear Diane, when you speak to the authorities, please make sure that they arrest you for cannibalism because you just ate my blank. So then he writes that they've landed in Phoenix. No sign of authorities yet. Well, Diane just slapped me. She walked right up to me and slapped me immediately in the face. The gate agent for the next flight actually grabbed her and held her back. He asked if I wanted to have the airport police come over. I said no. She turned to the gate agent and said, am I going to make my flight to Sacramento? He said no. I laughed. And then the gate agent said, are you sure you don't want to talk to the police? You can if you want. So apparently this lady had quite a reputation, and here we go.
She's like the rowdy town drunk, but on the airlines or something.
That's it. And I said, no, it's okay. I understand. But I do have another note for her. And I handed it to her and walked away. And it read, Diane, allow me to introduce myself. I am the Year of Elon Gale. Look me up online, read every tweet, read every response, and maybe next time you'll be nice to people who are just trying to help. I thought that was a great story. My wife was cheering, so I just wanted to share that. So.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it can't feel very good to help people fall into their place sometimes. And, I guess every now and then you kind of have to.
You can slap them.
Or they can slap you.
Which is apparently what Elon did.
Yeah, so it's pretty fascinating stuff.
Exactly. I said, well, we're gonna go to the 20 break. Introduce our guest and let's have some fun. Yeah,
so again, we're sitting here with our friend Keyann Coco May. He's the founder of the I2F2 Film Festival, which is a South Asian film festival, which is a pretty recent creation, which is gaining a lot of steam. And I just wanted to, first off, open it up to him and let him kind of tell us a little bit about what he's doing. Because I think the story is pretty cool, knowing you for several years and how you came into this. So tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, Brian, it's a long story. I mean, I worked for one of the Hollywood majors for almost most parts of my career, and then I realized most Hollywood majors were only interested in making money and not really helping art. And that's when I realized I had to really do something for the up-and-coming filmmakers. Mm-hmm. And it's really tough as a filmmaker because a lot of sweat and equity goes into making of a film, and eventually it's decided by a bunch of business people who really don't understand anything about the art. Mm-hmm. I've gone through that process myself. I started off going to film school and with an aspiration to be a filmmaker, and honestly, to date, I haven't been able to put a film together only because every distributor worth its penny has run me down saying this is not marketable proposition. Mm-hmm. And now I'm in a position after almost 17 years of experience distributing and marketing film, understanding the terrain. I decided to use my experience and my background to help many people like me, the way I was 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I2F2 is beyond just South Asian. I mean, CSAP was a South Asian film festival. I2F2 is going to be much larger. It's going to cover about 35 to 40 countries from around the world. Mm-hmm. The first couple of years, we're going to concentrate on Middle East and South Asia, mm-hmm. and with host country America. The whole concept of the film festival is it's only for first-time filmmakers. Mm-hmm. So to qualify for the film festival, you have to be first-time filmmaker.
Okay.
And then we also have a separate category, which is students filmmakers. So we're promoting students filmmakers from around North America to begin with in the first couple of years. So that they understand. I mean, we're trying to help them pave their path to future in filmmaking business. Mm-hmm. And we're helping the first-time filmmakers because there are tons. I mean, there are close to 35,000 movies made across the globe in a year, of which only maybe 1,200 see some they fructify into some kind of.
I'm going to ask you a sort of a dummy question here. When you say 35,000 films made, you said 35,000 made across the globe?
Almost, yeah. 35,000 movies made across the globe, and bulk of it, U.S., India, and China.
Okay. Yeah. That probably wouldn't be too surprising to most people. I think just to define a little bit for people, we're talking about movies that are produced with the intention of getting distribution of, I guess, how are you defining this set of 35,000 movies?
No, I'm talking about 35,000 movies produced, of which less than a fraction actually see the light of the day. I mean, get released. Only because distributors decide which movie has to be released and which is not. So there are times when some really good movies just stay put in their bins. So you never get to see some really, really good movies, Okay, again, the whole industry is very politicized. It's like most industries and controlled by the cartel.
Okay.
So because I've been part of that, so I know the inside story. So they just don't let movies that sometimes have well-intentioned movies. Let me put it that way, to be released so that the wide exposure doesn't create a kind of a quasi-revolution.
And there seems to be some sort of there's some sort of concept or theme that these major distributors are they're basically finding ways to enforce it through manipulation of the marketplace. Yeah. So it's obvious you're running up against a real wall as you're someone who's making a movie, an independent film, trying to get into the distribution channels and get, I guess, picked up internationally in any way other than just going online, and which you've done as well. So, what kind of movies do you feel are acceptable when it comes down to these mainstream distributors? Would you go into do you sense a bias, and if so, what kind of bias do you
bias, obviously, if you are big stars, your chances of getting your film sold are much higher. Then B, your film should not, sometimes it does help, but in most cases you have to be politically correct. Your film should, let's say if I made a movie on Occupy Wall Street, I don't think I'd have any distributors wanting to distribute my movie.
Yeah, there's some recent ones that are getting sort of, it's almost like a collective marketing push from several different media outlets, more independent media outlets. But yeah, I'd say I haven't seen anything come across. I haven't seen any major trailers when I've gone to any movies lately.
And what is the pressure on distributors for films like that? What is there political pressure? Is there social pressure? Is it economic pressure? Who's driving that pressure?
Depending on geography, like for example, in India and that part of the world, it's mostly political pressure. In America, it's the bank pressure, as in the money pressure. So because almost all the companies are listed entities.
Yeah.
So they're more bothered about their investors than they're bothered about art.
Right.
So they're honestly prostituting art.
Yeah.
Sorry to use that word on radio, but
that's okay. You can use that.
They're actually, the whole concept is to basically maximize revenue gains more than promoting. Sending out. I understand everyone is in this to make money, but then there has to be a certain part of it where you also do it for a cause.
Yeah.
Movie making, as much as it's an art and entertainment, is also about conveying a message.
Yeah.
So most times that's overlooked. I'll tell you, you'll have better chances in Las Vegas than making a movie, getting returns out of your movie.
So it sounds to me, and clarify if I'm wrong on this, but it sounds to me that if we'll use the Occupy Chicago analogy or example, if there were enough investors interested in promoting that movie, that sort of movie would get released and distributed, or is there additional pressure outside of the marketplace controlling what gets released and what isn't?
Yeah, there is. There is an outside pressure. Of course, if there's enough mass mobilization towards promoting a film,
Yeah.
then it's very difficult for the big money to counter that. But they'll find a way around it, find a way to censor a few things. Maybe they'll let you release, but you'll get distribution, but you may not get releases because you suddenly realize that theaters are booked for next 2 years. The screens, auditoriums, even if they're running empty, you'll see them booked for 2 years.
Yeah.
Because
So they just go buy up all the. It's
Yeah.
similar to the payola situation in
Yeah.
in mainstream radio and broadcasting. Interesting.
So, give us. Are you working on anything right now? And how can people can find out more about projects you're working on?
I2F2 website will be up and running in next couple of weeks, which will outline the whole mission of the festival.
Nice.
And one
You'll
good
share
thing-
that with us so we can
will,
get the word out. Nice.
And it's I2F2.com. Currently, the content on the website is mostly from my past festivals, which is Chicago South Asian Film Festival. But we'll have more updates coming in soon.
And are you screening the films? Is there a panel of people?
No,
screening the
we are
films?
screening, and I'd like to mention Roger Ebert's wife, Chaz, has kind of voluntarily, kind of help. It's going to help us a lot, and that's going to be a big help.
That's
And
great.
City of Evanston has been really forthcoming and helpful in kind of assisting us putting up this whole festival together. Especially the mayor of Evanston,
Nice.
Mayor Elizabeth Tisdale. She's the one who's taken initiative and trying to help us put this whole festival together.
What are some of the criteria that you're looking for when you're accepting or excluding films?
The film has to be vetted by our curators. We have curators in 3 different parts of the world. Of course, and most importantly, each film has to have an underlying message.
Yeah.
You cannot have a trashy, the movie has to mean something.
Yes.
It has to be revolutionary either in concept or treatment. And most importantly, it should be, the movie should, it's like an art piece of art, should be able to talk for itself.
Yeah.
So we just, it's each, of course, because there are about 35, 40 countries we are talking of, everyone with distinct culture and different outlook towards seeing things. It's going to be interesting to see world from outside perspective.
There's a real social and community and international benefit to this as well. It sounds like that. We hear about negative aspects of things that are happening in South Asia. We never hear about the positive. We just hear, when we hear about Kashmir, we hear that one side hates the other side, blah. That's what we hear. We never hear the commonalities. We never hear the art that's created there. Talk a little bit about that, and is that something that you're trying
Exactly. Now, when you said what are the outside pressures, like for example, in India, if you make a pro-Kashmiri movement film, the chances of getting past the Indian censor board are
zero.
Zilch.
Yeah.
Zero.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Likewise, in Pakistan, you make any movie that runs down Islam or it's contrary to the Islamic concept, you either get shot down or And if you look at I2F2, most of our films are going to come from some of the most volatile places in the world, Middle East. And probably this is going to be the first film festival where I'm trying to bring in Israel and Middle East together.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
Yeah, we have great support from the Israeli community and surprisingly their government.
Wow.
And like
at least 2 white guys.
Yeah, and it relates to why. Yeah, so this is probably going to be one of the rarest platforms where you'll see some of the greatest movies from Israel and Turkey, Egypt, and Iran. Iran is a big component of this festival.
Right. So you're bringing I'm glad that we kind of naturally drifted back around to that point, because when I've been talking with you about these ideas in the past as you've been developing them, that was one of the things that always stood out to me was the fact that you were going into places and you're building a cultural bridge, basically, through multimedia, through video and film between these areas that are often just, there are walls literally dividing and physical walls, political walls, all sorts of walls. So that was definitely something that I'm glad that we talked about. I'm actually throwing up the link to his site on Facebook right now. So
and the idea that you're including Israel, in this really sort of broad regional artistic mix, so that you are sort of creating that broader artistic narrative that encompasses as many perspectives as possible, almost like a beautiful sort of cultural mosaic or regional mosaic. The interesting I guess the question I have is, all too often we see that in this country when people try to do something positive or cross community or cross racial or cross religious lines, that there are people that want to get in the way of that process. Have you faced any of that?
Oh, honestly, yes. But at this point, because we are
without going into
stage,
details,
I don't want to get into details.
That's fair. That's fair.
Because I want this to be okay. This festival is going to happen the weekend after Memorial Day on starting 29 May. It's a week-long festival, 29 May to the 5th of June, 2014, in Evanston at one of the main venues is the Century 21.
Yep. I know it well.
And then we have some screenings and Q&As and sidebar events happening at Evanston Public Library. And
nice.
So there have been lots of people try to put spoke in the wheel. So let me put it that way. I don't want to talk about it now because I hope this is.
And that's fair. And kind of the reason that I sort of knew that would maybe become a little bit uncomfortable for you, and that wasn't my intention. What my intention is when people do want to do something positive, when people do want to create and move towards a better reality, a better world. And I know that having spent a good portion of the war in Bosnia, and then working relief to Rwandan refugees, that most people are good, and that the people that do create issues are an extremely small minority. It's usually in the single percentages, regardless of where you are in the world for whatever reason. But it's important that good people understand that, because often too often they're bullied by those negative minorities, and good people need to stand up and stand together in order to really counterbalance that or overwhelm that negativity.
I totally understand. Yeah.
So
yes, and putting this together, we've been planning on this for almost a year now. So it wasn't an easy task to get totally despairing people on table. And I think I've been lucky to get everyone on board with me. There have been some voice of opposition, but I think as they see this, as we go closer to the event, we'll realize. People will set aside their personal animosity and differences and settle down to align towards the bigger cause.
Anything that's jumped out that's really surprised you, or is it too early to?
Biggest surprise for me was Century 21, which is it's owned by Cinemark Inc., which is usually has a very
mainstream,
conservative,
or mainstream.
Have been very supportive of this cause, and and again, City of Evanston has been blessing, because we tried with City of Chicago, they weren't too keen.
Really? Wow.
City of Evanston was a blessing in disguise. Mayor's office, everyone there. I think they've gone out of their way to accommodate us there. So,
excellent.
Honestly,
excellent.
And we are small. We're not funded. We're not a multi-million-dollar funded. We're not even multi-$1,000 funded. So for a smaller organization like us, I think the City of Evanston has been blessing in this.
And I live up in Rogers Park, so even I think. When I'm thinking in my head of the caricature of an Evanstonian, I'm thinking of a white person in an ascot or a cardigan sweater, but it is really a very diverse community, and
I live there too. So
okay,
yeah.
And then you
with
also
a wonderful
know
family,
that,
by
that
the way,
Rogers Park. Where I live, I live close to. I live right on Devon Avenue.
Oh wow! Okay.
So we're getting the Orthodox Jewish community over here next to the Afghan restaurant, and then for Garib Nawaz down the street, and the great Indian restaurants, and they're all sort of mixed. And the Patel Brothers grocery store. So you're getting all of that, And now there's a really strong. My wife is Bosnian, so there's a Bosnian and Serbo-Croatian community there, and we're getting an influx now of East Africans, East and Central Africans. So it's this really dynamic, maybe one of the most diverse neighborhoods still left in the city. So first of all, it surprises me that Chicago is not. In some ways, it surprises me that Chicago is not being more supportive of this, even though when you drive through the city, it is still such a tremendously segregated city in many ways.
And you have to make a lot of noise with something culturally relevant in Chicago to be able to get it picked up by, sort of the, I'm going to just say the bureaucracy that controls most things in Chicago, whether it's one central one or several ones that are aligned. Either way, there are definitely cultural, economic barriers. There are all sorts of interesting barriers. And I know, we encountered that when we were putting on the People's Republic of Edward Snowden. You had quite a bit of back and forth with Chicago theater and a very interesting turn of events. So, from another vantage point within the theater, we've experienced that. Bill especially has experienced that. So I think what we can say for Evanston, I'd say pretty much objectively is that they are acknowledging the cultural capital that you're carrying with this project, and that's what a lot of us are looking for out of the leadership, so to speak, of Chicago, with our our mayor who is supposedly very fond of the arts and whatnot. But that's we're it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Is radio.
What I'd like to do on this radio station is one of the I've been looking for South Asian voices to speak to a lot of those issues, but also speak on the immigration issue and a whole host of things that are important to and sort of unique to an immigrant or a first generation non-white culture or non-white perspective that's still very strong and vibrant and necessary, and it really sort of crosses the the race and religion barrier to some really common themes.
So when the whole idea of moving to U.S. from 9,000 miles away is, when you see it from afar, you see,
And where are you from, by the way, if you don't mind me asking?
India.
What part of India?
Bombay.
All right.
So, you come with a dream of, making money today, any part of the world, it's easy. Today it's in a globalized village. Making money is not everything. I came to America with a dream because I saw this as microcosm of humanity.
Nice.
It represents almost every ethnicity, race, and color. But the America that I'm seeing evolving over the last 5 or 6 years is a little scary to me, because you have, I don't want to name, but okay, you have the Tea Party movement, which is dragging America back into medieval ages. And I'm really sad that I have 2 kids, and I hope my kids don't grow up in a very divisive, very highly volatile and segregated America. And the whole idea behind I2F2 is to break through those barriers and try to get, because not just to be anything other than white in America is a little scary a prospect in the last couple of years.
It is. And not just that, like I said, my wife is an immigrant. So there's that aspect of it as well, that you can sometimes in places feel the sting of obnoxious or ignorant people in this nation, and unfortunately they pretty much are all my ethnicity, and in a few cases my family.
But they are a minority of even that demographic of the United States. The problem is that they're the loudest, and that's something that we're trying to change here.
I totally agree. They are the loudest.
It's that kind of bully mentality. It's like, you're the scariest, the biggest and the scariest because you're the loudest, not necessarily because you are right, or that you are the largest player on the block. Even it's really you have people that are just trying to reach a balance in their lives and in their culture and with their communities and neighbors, and then you have other people that want to disrupt that balance. by trying to wave some sort of crazy nationalism or even racism and things like that in the mix. It's very so I'm glad that I'm glad we got into you talking about where you're from, because you're doing something again that's not very common here. You're from a very divided society when it comes to relations between Muslims and Hindu.
Not just Muslims and Hindus. Within Hinduism, there are casteism.
Yes, caste structure.
I was discussing that with my cousin a day ago. I mean, so I am. There's
Because
a
you
part
got
of
more
me
money
which-
than him.
Huh?
Because you got more money than him.
Yeah.
No.
So the thing is, a part of me still loves my homeland, India, but there's a part of it
course.
which I want to distance from because of 4,000 years of segregating people on basis of caste.
Yeah.
And I belong. I mean,
Hey, we do that here.
I'm seeing that happening here, and that's scary.
We have we use different terms to.
Yeah,
to,
1%, 99%.
Yeah.
But it works.
We like
it
to keep
works
things
out.
No, but I'll tell you something
yeah,
here.
yeah.
The 99, a small fraction of 99% still have chance to get into that 1%. But in Indian caste system, there's no way you can migrate to the next level.
Yeah. Is that changing, or is that?
No, it's changing only in the big cities, but India mostly lives in villages. 87% of Indian population is still small villages.
Yeah.
And no, but even in the cities, honestly, it's only superficial change. I mean, it's the same change you see in America, but I don't know the right word, but let's say cross-pollination between the African Americans and whites. You only see very, very limited examples. I mean, I was reading the other day on Time magazine. You see a lot of black men and white women, but it's seldom you get to see white man and a black woman in America.
True.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And that's a big. And in India, we are. I mean, we both belong to the highest caste of Indian society, which are called Brahmins. And we have kept other people suppressed for the last 5,000 years.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry. I'm part.
You guys don't look that old.
Yeah, I mean, so this, yeah. So every society has this, but I would say that's why I like America, because there's a way to break through this, because there's so many ideas coming together from different parts of the world, and America will have a new identity down the line. It's possible, but it's not possible in age-old cultures like India or China, where I lived for some years.
Sure.
So you don't see that changes happening because the structures have been in place for thousands of years.
Let's take a break, and we'll come back after the break.
For that, I just want to say, cheers to raising some good kids in a less divided world.
Cheers, guys. We'll be right back after this. This is the Revolution in Beer Weekend Edition. W.C. Turk. Bill Murray. All right. We'll be back in just a couple of seconds on AM 1710 Q4 Radio.
Q4.org.
That too.
Tune in to AM 1710 for the Celia and Eric Show.
The Celia and Eric Show is a work of commentary, comedy, and satire.
Before listening, talk to your doctor to see if satire is right for you.
The Celia and Eric Show, 5 to 7 p.m. Saturday nights here on Q4 Radio.
I do want everyone to feel comfortable. That's why I'd like to talk to you about Jesus.
Hello, old lady.
All right, this is the Revolution in Beer Show Weekend Edition. We are actually in a different.
Yesterday we put in an extra dynamic duo show here in the afternoon, and I picked up that buffalo sweat from Tallgrass on the way in, and it was a stout. And like I was talking about, I tend to trend towards drinking darker things when it gets cold. So this one, I'm familiar, Wild Onion Brewing here in Chicago does some amazing beers. It's one of the IPAs that I'm really fond of, the Hop Slayer. It's a double.
Nice.
But I hadn't tried the Jack Stout.
Describe this one a little bit.
This one is, this is a stout, and it's got a very, again, similar to the Tallgrass, it's got a very nice finish to it. It doesn't linger. It's not over roasted or bitter in any serious way. It just kind of it sits on the top. I mean, there's maybe the hops are a little bit brighter here, but still the roast and malt flavors and everything, and definitely chocolate and coffee as well, like a good stout would. So, yeah, and I got these two guys drinking it too. I don't know if you want to chime in anything about it, but
No, I know. I mean, I'm not a big beer fan.
Well, Kingfisher?
Oh, I used to back home. Yeah, No, more than Kingfisher, there was an Indian beer which is Hayward 2000.
What is
called?
it?
Hayward 2000. Hayward.
No, I'm gonna have to look for it.
Oh, that was amazing. I mean, one
Really?
beer and it knock you off.
All right.
Oh yeah, that's really, because in India,
whatever you're sitting here.
Yeah, it's like you just knock. I mean, one beer is good enough. I mean, it had the potency of about one whole, maybe more than 6.
Nice. I always tell the story. Last year, I was working on a beer review of it's called Jubilation Sweet 16.
Oh, yeah.
Schmaltz Brewing.
Oh yeah, Schmaltz.
And it's 16 hops, 16 malts, 16% alcohol. And it's in the big 750 milliliter bottle. And I'm typing. The wife is watching TV on the couch, and I'm typing away, and I notice I'm making a lot of mistakes all of a sudden, and I look over and I go, "Hi, I don't know what's wrong, but I'm making a lot of mistakes on the
that awkward moment when you realize you're
where you typewriter thing." And she goes, "Dude, you're buzzed." And I go, "No, it's just a little bit." I was about halfway through the bottle. She goes, "No, you're buzzed." And I went, "Yeah, maybe." She goes, "What are you going to do?" I go, "I'm going to finish it." So the next morning I woke up and had to rewrite the entire review because I really couldn't read it at that point.
So you didn't actually hit that awkward moment where you realized you're hitting the backspace key as much as you're typing any letters.
Wow, I'm really moving on this one here.
I think you should try another Indian beer. It'll knock your daylights out. It's called Khajurao.
I've had it.
You had
I've
Khajurao?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's an awesome beer too.
I have.
All right, next time you come in, you're doing some beer shopping.
Oh yeah, I'll get some beer.
That's it. Nice. Where do you shop? If you're looking, can you? Because I see Kingfisher everywhere.
There's one
isn't a golden pheasant is from
golden
India?
pheasant. Yeah.
So see, folks, I've drunk my way around the world, but where do you find a good selection of Indian?
Now there's one. I don't know the name of the store, but this is in Schaumburg, Arlington Heights area, obviously, because that's where a huge Indian community lives.
Right.
There's a huge, big, like mammoth liquor store where owned by an Indian guy who stocks some really good Indian beer. So next time I'll get you one whole case for all of us here.
We'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, but one case is going to be really knockers off.
Yeah, you don't have to quite go. You don't have to quite go that far, but we could do it in 2 phases or something.
Yeah, you're welcome here. Welcome here anytime.
Wow, I sound like a lightweight now.
Yeah.
No. Can you tell us about? Tell folks again what we're talking about. We're talking about your. We're talking about the South Asian. That's the beer.
I2F2
Film Festival.
Yeah. Okay. South Asian Art and. The organization is the South Asian Art Council Incorporation. Mm-hmm. It's a Chicago 501c3 nonprofit. For the last 4 years, we've been successfully hosting South Asian Film Festival. It's fairly successful, not just within the community, but within. We had a good participation from the academia. So and this was most of our screenings were at Columbia College, downtown Chicago, and.
And you have Northwestern there, and Northwestern is much more of a diverse student body than it used to be. Yeah, and faculty at this point.
Yeah,
but yeah.
So then CSAF, that's Chicago South Asian Film Festival, has now evolved into I2F2. Now everyone keeps asking me what I2F2 stands. I said it means whatever it means to you. Okay, because we just wanted a name which
people could get to.
Yeah, and we didn't want to identify as a particular thing. So I2F2 just originated from, I wish I could show it, originated from a drawing of my niece. She drew something which looked like I love films. And she's a 7-year-old. And she drew something I love films. And when you read it, it read like I2F2.
Okay.
So and that's how the whole I2F2 came into being. And and then as I said earlier, like lots of people have helped in helping us sculpt this dream.
Mm-hmm.
The city of Evanston, then the Israeli consulate in Washington through their attaché here in Chicago, and the Abu Dhabi Film Commission, based in United Arab Emirates, and Turkey. So we've had some really interesting support from a lot of different governmental setups from across the globe.
And for people, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but for people who don't know, I used to still am, not as much because I just don't have the time. But I used to be with the wife an incredible international film buff, and we used to look for things that were as far out of the mainstream as we could find for those better perspectives. Films from Iran, like I'm drawing a blank on it. Just films from all across the region that you're covering with the film festival that really produce some beautiful, beautiful art.
Oh yeah, I mean, and
moving, and you don't even have to. A lot of these films, you don't have to understand the language, or even have to keep up with the subtitles to really get the power and the strength of the movies.
For example, if you've seen Children from Heaven, the Iranian film.
The Color of Paradise is what I was thinking.
Color of Paradise. Oh, that's another good film by Majid Majidi.
Yes, stunning.
Yeah, and then you have the new Iranian New Age director Asghar Farhadi, who made Separation, the story about a family in chaos about handling up a medically challenged parent.
Yeah.
So if you see, when you watch movies like that, you understand culture. You come to understand finer nuances of life in that part of the world.
Yeah, because as you know, as you were saying earlier, but these other films sort of portray this, and The Color of Paradise is a Persian Iranian film, but there is that thread of humanity. And I think that's the power of all of this, is that you begin understanding, or you can no longer escape that thread of humanity that runs through all of us, regardless of geography and what sky you happen
color,
to pray
skin,
under.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to throw this out here to you all. Shoot it down, stomp on it if you want to, and if you're listening out there and you have anything to say about it, I'm personally interested in hearing what you
773-217-8344.
Right on cue again.
That's what I do.
I think you and I both, and as Bill, I know, for example, Bill and I consume quite a bit of right-wing media just to try to right-wing beer, just to kind of get a temp check, on what's happening, and to be able to receive those arguments and statements and desires and understandings, even respectfully in conversation. I know here we bang the drum a lot. We go after certain people because they deserve it, but in conversation and exchange, I want to facilitate openness of thoughts and ideas. So
I just want to hit sarcastic jerks between the eyes with their own ridiculous arguments.
There's an enormous amount of paranoia by sections of both the right and the left about international political control and centralization of power. There's the conspiracy theories and things like that, right? And what that ends up getting sort of abstracted into is this idea that internationalism, any sort of global joint foundation of unity amongst people can be deemed socialism and bad. It's really a strange sort of equation that involves some paranoia, some legitimate concerns, fear that comes out of that. I see there actually being not the question of whether or not we are going to become an internationalist, socio-political society, but how will we become that way? Because of the shared working class, peasant class, folk history and experience of the majority of the people on this planet. I'll just put it easily. So a lot of times I say, it's not whether or not we will become some sort of internationalist culture or society or civilization. It's whether or not it is centralized and controlled and continues to divide everyone, into infinity as many times over as they can, or is it one that's more focused on the things that bond us together, as opposed to discussing those sort of some mid to top level cultural differences that define us, as separate. I see what you're doing as an example of something that is creating that real people's internationalist kind of perspective, and just basically, I'm curious to know what people think about this idea, because you hear global totalitarian, socialist, conspiracy theory, bad. I always want to get in and dig the words apart, separate them, say, okay, internationalist, what could that possibly mean? I mean, let's be real here. A lot of people, most people in this country come from some sort of immigrant background, regardless of the color of their skin. So there is a shared global history. And that, I think, what the kinds of things that you're doing connect those dots. And kind of map that out more for us, and then I'm an advocate for your work based on that alone.
Oh, thank you.
Aside from knowing you, so yeah.
How did you get into film? Take it back a little bit.
That's. Film career is looked down upon in my society. I mean, it's nice to be an engineer like him or a doctor, but a filmmaker or anything, because India. I'm talking of 25 years ago. And even now there's more acceptability. But 25 years ago, India was still a poor country.
Yeah.
So filmmaking or anything to do with art was considered absolutely useless.
It's not practical.
Yeah, practical.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, I should thank my parents, especially my dad, who came across as very conservative, was fairly free when it came to my choice of career.
Nice.
Actually, I started off as a fashion designer.
No kidding.
Really? Oh, yeah. I started I was part of Asia's first all-women's fashion magazine at age of 20.
That's brilliant.
That explains your dapperness.
Yeah. So, and then I got into advertising. I think I was fairly lucky because by age of 23, I think I was the youngest creative director of one of the biggest global advertising agencies.
Nice.
And the film was a natural progression from there on, because I was always creatively inclined, and then I moved to the U.S. And and I got associated. I did production running for some really big firms. Just calling people for bagels and teas. And then I set up my company in '98 in L.A. And that's when it all started. And then we started off making commercials. And I went back to India to, India and China had very restrictive policy towards foreign entertainment because they wanted to, foster and help local entertainment.
Sure.
So I set up an office to help all Hollywood studios to help. I helped them market and distribute their films. Surprisingly, the same people who had thrown me out of their doors. I helped
which is why I think that all Vin Diesel movies shown in India, they require him to dance.
Yes. So
the best I got.
Yeah. Vin Diesel was a big phenomenon in India in early to mid 1990s. Yeah. I don't know. I thought I don't have, but Then I started Hakuna Matata, which helped all Hollywood films market their almost right from Titanic to Dunstan Checks-In. I did marketing and promotion for all of them.
Nice.
But I realized that's not what I want to do because I was raking in tons of money, but that wasn't giving me. I was an artist within, so that wasn't giving me satisfaction.
No, I was going to say that there's something more. There was something more there than just the pragmatic business side.
Yeah. Business side, yeah.
You desire to participate in creativity as opposed to just facilitate the exchange of it.
So in somewhere around 2002, when after we had a family tragedy, I lost a child.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's when I got a Buddha like Nirvana. I said, no, I think I'm surprisingly in a community which is predominantly doctors and accountants and engineers. Maybe I was blessed to be an artist because I probably was in something, the higher up there, someone intended me to do something bigger.
Sure.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized I think I should get into helping younger filmmakers, people who have a hard time really finding their foot for finding their foothold in the industry. So just help them. And then I was pretty early to start off with the streaming. I mean, I think I got into aggregating content for streaming media much before even people had heard of streaming media. So that was a natural progression, and then and that's how my whole activism towards helping first-time filmmakers and getting the global community, because I've realized there are only two areas where you can get people together: entertainment and food. Nobody says, "Oh, I won't eat." What?
Forget beer, man. Don't forget beer.
Yeah.
Hey, let's. We're going to do another quick break. This is AM 1710 Q4 Radio. We're going to come back. We're going to finish this up because this is a brilliant conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll be back in just a couple of seconds. You know what? I'm just going to go to a song. What do we want to hear, Brian? Something.
Oh boy. I don't know if you got anything from Rebel Diaz.
I do. You know what? I was actually going to finish the show with Whose Side Are You On?
I got it. Well, then no need to. Go Bordello would be great.
You got it.
Six revolutions per minute. This is my regular speed. So how do you want me to live with it? How do you want me to live with it? Without bringing all our lives, without overthrowing cars, without emptying the bars, without doing with your chars. 60 revelations per minute. This is my regular need. So how do you want me to live with it? How do you want me to live with it? Without bringing all our lives, without overthrowing cars, without emptying the bars, without doing with your chars. I'm gathering new generation that's gonna stand up to it. To this karaoke dictatorship, where posers and models with guitars boogie to the shit for beats. I make a better rock revolution alone with my dick. Charge. 60 por minuto es mi reputación y no te estoy hablando yo de revolución. Hace mucho tiempo que yo ya no te decía, más te dijo este sea muerte policía. Pese a lo que digan ya está todo arreglado. Digas lo que digas ya te mandan deportado. Hay que tiene ni sobre la ley dispone mientras que el pobre es pobre, pobre, pobre y otro se la come, come. Pobre, 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 pobre y otro se la come, come, come. Pobre, 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 pobre y otro se la come, come. Sonidero nazionale hasta Ruba Cuba.
Hey, welcome back to the show. This is W.C. Turk and Brian Murray with the Revolution and Beer Weekend Edition. We've got some friends in the studio today. You're listening to AM 1710 Q4 Radio, and I was kind of talking about my war exploits a little bit. It took me just to recap for folks a little bit. It took me about a month to get out of Sarajevo after being arrested by two different armies. It took the better part of 9 months to get my wife here, and in the intervening time, we had to wait for what they called a blue road out of Sarajevo to open for people to leave. We also had to kind of sneak her out. So she was smuggled out of the city because she was still of fighting age and the war was still in full force then. And then I had friends on the Muslim side all along the line out to the city of Mostar that were able to protect her for her to make it across. And then a Bosnian Muslim friend of mine in the Bosnian army in Mostar helped her get across to the Croatian side.
That can be an interesting story for a movie.
It's and this is what I wanted to do. Our 20th anniversary is coming up.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you. And I actually wanted, because I just finished.
Well, when is that, by the way?
My second. That's October 24th of next year.
Right on.
But I just finished my second very successful play. And so I'm thinking now, maybe, and hopefully she's not listening, she's getting ready for work, that I'd like to write at least part of it as a play and put it on for her for 20th anniversary. So,
well,
but
if I can botch any role in that for you, just sign me up, man. I'm all for it.
What I will do is I'll send you. Make sure I get your email. I'll send you a copy of the book.
Oh, wow.
Because it's just a really good. It's a good love story, but it tells the story of the Bosnian War in a way that no outsider did. I saw it from the inside. After losing everything, after not being able to leave, so I basically lived, at least for a short time, like in sort of this gray area between what it was like to be a Bosnian stuck in Sarajevo, and a foreigner. But it characterizes the whole conflict in human terms, not in these starkly or divisive religious terms, because that's not what it was. That was the cartoon that was created by the media. I saw a much different side of the war. I make the point in the book that somewhere between 3 and 5% of the population of Bosnia was ever engaged in the war. That included the militias, the police, the soldiers, the conscripts. That most people were just stuck in the middle. And I think that's why, to bring it full circle here, that's why I was really touched and inspired and intrigued by what you're working on, because it's really about people and about building bridges.
Building bridges, yeah.
Yeah. So, tell us a little bit more. I guess I was sort of looking for, and maybe it's too soon for you to say this, but I was sort of looking for some of those standouts or things that have kind of snuck up on you as you're starting to get films in or get inquiries that you're like, that sounds pretty interesting. Anything that's jumped out at you?
Give us a preview here. Yeah.
Or at least rather than because I think playing favorites probably is way too strong of a word and way too mature or way too premature. But I guess some teases for people of what they might begin to see as this moves closer to reality.
I think people are going to realize. I mean, as I said, they've been coming, of course, because we are a small, we're a fairly small organization. So we have faced our hiccups on the way, but our volunteer base has been pretty strong. I mean, we have some really dedicated people on a team, and then we have some really dedicated outside help coming from some of my friends.
Because I think people who really find power and truth in what you're doing come to it really strongly. You don't really equivocate on that sort of passion.
Yeah. So I mean, they've been. I mean, honestly, I'm surprised by the kind of support I've received from all over. Now, the only area where gray areas, of course, no event can be successful without some level of corporate participation in way of sponsorship.
Sure.
No, that's what we are working on. I wouldn't say it's been hard, but yes, it needs a lot more explanation because color of our skin makes us that much more. That it makes it that much more difficult for us to go after some traditional sponsors.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, initially they think, oh, you're doing some small cultural ethnic event. It's only when they see the broader spectrum of...
There's a reality that needs to be changed.
That needs to be changed, yes. Yeah. And when they actually go through the plan, that's when they realize that, we are trying to put in something that is bigger than it looks. Okay. and it has a purpose which is much, much, much more larger. I mean, there are dime a dozen film festivals. There are close to 5,000 film festivals. So we're not. It's not like we are the first people to. But we are trying to. I mean, this is probably the first film festival anywhere in the world for first-time filmmakers. Okay, so that clearly says our purpose is we are doing it with a purpose.
Yeah,
we're doing it for the art community. We are doing it for the people of the world to bridge gap through the power of cinema, and we are honest about our intention. And we are also trying to help those first-time filmmakers find their footing in this difficult world of entertainment.
And I think one of the interesting things about that is there is a process to any sort of art, but I think in film. Commercial film probably more so, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there are so many filters, that there are so many levels and hurdles that things have to go through, that a work of art has to go through, that at some point it's this kind of leavening sort of process that at the end of that process everything kind of becomes the same. Or at least is very similar in nature. From a cultural standpoint, there's sort of a cultural or artistic hegemony or homogenous sort of structure that limits perspectives, that limits language, that limits understanding of broader issues, or even more intimate issues.
I'd like to kind of just add a note to that. Now, the thing is. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the process world over for a filmmaker almost is the same. Finally, the person who finally manages to break through all these barriers is the one with more conviction.
Yep.
And someone who feels that he genuinely has a story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
See, there are people who start making film, I mean, thinking of a project from commercial standpoint. So if I do this, maybe my film sells. And those are the ones who eventually never get their film made because they're always thinking of, they're putting market before their ideas.
Yes, yes. And here it's reversed. Where the ideas are
I mean, I would like to borrow from Steve Jobs where he said people don't know what they want. We have to first come up with something and they'll want it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the good ideators are the one who first come up with an idea and then work around that idea and are not bothered about how it's going to be received.
Yeah. Wow, that's great.
That's great. And the kind of filmmakers we want to support through I2F2 are the ones who have an idea rather than one who think they have a market.
Mm-hmm.
This market is always in a fluid state. You don't know what market is going to like. But you and I know what we are going to like for sure. So we should follow a conviction and go ahead and do
I actually don't know what I'm going to like when it comes to art. You know, I like to believe, or I at least like to challenge myself enough to look at a lot of different things, so that I do challenge myself. I do challenge those limits a little bit, and then find out.
No, but you know what you want to say, right?
I don't know what a film. I actually want a film to change me a little bit. I want a film to prove me wrong on some things.
Because I think it's the difference between knowing what you want to see and being comfortable with knowing that you like what you're seeing as you see it. You know, that's the way that I think it's one of the reasons why Bill and I, team up so well together, is that we're into new experiences, and especially when it comes to art. So
because
we're hungry, in that way.
Change is the only constant.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Exactly.
Boy, this is. Are you still looking for? Are you still looking for volunteers? Are you still?
We are.
We are.
Yeah. Volunteers are always welcome. It's a big festival, and we need
do. What would they? What?
Oh, the volunteers. We need volunteers for basically. We need volunteers for programming where they're going to watch a lot of movies from submissions from around the globe and vet it.
Wow.
That's one level of volunteering.
Wow.
We need volunteers.
How awesome is that?
Oh yeah.
If you're a movie lover, that's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. So programming is one. Then we need foot soldiers, as in we need people actually at the ticketing and manning our. We're going to get. I wouldn't say celebrity, but we're going to get some really prominent filmmaking personalities from around the globe.
Yeah.
From Iran, from Israel, from India. So we need someone who can kind of guide them through throughout the festival. Then we need we need people who are into event planning and programming and helping our keynote speakers with, So we need lots of volunteers. We need lots. Yeah,
Well, count me in. I'll be involved with it.
Absolutely. And anything that AM 1710 Q4 Radio can do to help you or support you, we are all.
We need all the support we can.
This is exactly our mission statement here.
It's seriously any people that are visiting with great perspectives or filmmakers that are coming in for the event. Definitely if they want a place to come talk about what they're doing, they should come here.
Wonderful. We'll probably have a couple of key people come and talk on the show.
Yeah, that would be great.
Nice,
that would be great.
nice.
I'm really
the door
excited.
is always
about
open,
this project.
and anytime you want to bring the beer, I'll bring the food.
Oh, sure.
Let me know.
Or it could be I'll bring the beer and food this one for once because then
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm in the neighborhood, so it's.
No, that's
it's a
not
quick
where
trip
you
for
get really good. People saying Devon has all that India has to offer, but I can take you places where.
I actually years ago I helped open a friend of mine out in Willowbrook has an Indian restaurant.
Okay.
And I helped him open up his restaurant, train his staff, and set up his menus. So.
Do you want food that bridges gap? Have you ever heard of Indian Chinese?
There's a place at Western, and isn't it Khan's?
Oh no, Khan's is not Indian Chinese. It's about
okay.
I'll have to take. Indian Chinese is. I have a little detour from my I2F2 talk. Indian Chinese. A lot of Chinese migrated to India in late 30s, early 40s because of the big famine.
Yeah.
And they brought with them these, and they blended into Indian fabric, and then the Indian Chinese is use of Indian spices and Chinese style cooking, and it's awesome. It's in India when you talk of Chinese, it's Indian Chinese. When you go to India, and it's the spicier Chinese. Even I've taken a few of my real Chinese friends out for Indian.
Yeah. Well, isn't some of the cuisine in the in that far western provinces? Is it Urumqi? In
China,
in Western China.
Western China.
There are so many regional. There's Mongolian influences and Indian and
Sichuan is another.
Pakistani and there are so many influences mixed up in that that particular. Let folks know. Let folks know one more time how they can get a hold of you, and then we'll post it on our Facebook. At Revolution and Beer.
You can go on I2F2.com in a couple of weeks' time, and you'll have all the information about the festival. And you can call me on 773-614-1145 or email me at KAYNN.CocoMay
I've been mispronouncing it, haven't I?
at I2F2.com.
I've been pronouncing it like a Middle Eastern white guy.
No worries.
We'll get it all. White guy.
We'll get it all up there on revolutionandbeer.com and Revolution and Beer on Facebook. And if you have any questions, comments, anything else you want to throw our way, it's info at revolutionandbeer.com. Thank you very much. We will talk to you. Well, Bill hits you up in the Monday morning, and I'll be stopping in some more next week too.
I'll be ranting. Actually, we need that rant on.
Oh yeah, I got Obamacare coming.
We got an Obamacare.
This is more important than that, as far as
absolutely. AM 1710 Q4 Radio. Dr. Laura Chamberlain's All In for Mother Earth is next. Following Dr. Chamberlain, 5 to 7 tonight, the very first premiere of the Celia and Eric Show, guys. Check that out. We will see you on Monday.
I'm with Evo Morales, man, he running Bolivia. Distribution of the land so we can all live bigger. I'm with Hugo and Fidel, Grandmaster and Melly Mel. I'm with the Panthers up in Queens, Justice for Sean Bell. I'm with Camacho Negron, I'm with Ojeda Rios. Freedom for Oscar Lopez, time to get in the bill. I'm with a